What safety rule from your childhood ended up causing more harm than good? When I was a kid, there was one rule in our house that stood above all others. Don't tell anyone what happens at home. It sounded harmless, like a reminder to keep family matters private. But as I got older, I realized it wasn't about privacy. It was about silence. It was about control. My dad was a hard worker, the kind of man who came home covered in sweat and sawdust, his hands always stained with grease. People in town liked him. They called him reliable. But at home, reliability meant something else entirely. It meant we relied on his moods to determine how the night would go. My mom, always tired from double shifts, tried to soften his edges. She'd say, "He's just stressed," or "He doesn't mean it." I wanted to believe her. Every kid wants to think their parents know what they're doing. The first time I saw his temper for real, I was 7. I spilled juice on his work papers. He didn't yell right away. He just looked at me, then at the mess, and I could feel the anger building like thunder before a storm. Then the glass went flying. It shattered on the wall, and I froze. Mom rushed in, pulled me close, and whispered, "Don't tell anyone, okay? People wouldn't understand." I nodded, still shaking, and that's how it started. The rule drilled into me until it became second nature. As I grew older, I got good at hiding things. The red mark on my arm. Oh, I tripped. The shouting neighbors might have heard. Just a movie too loud. The broken picture frame. Accident. I became fluent in covering pain with smiles. Teachers praised me for being well behaved. Friends said my family seemed strict but nice. I never corrected them. When I was 14, a friend's mom asked why I never invited anyone over. I shrugged and said we liked our privacy. The truth was I didn't want them to see the fear that lived in our walls. The breaking point came one night when I was 15. Dad came home furious. I think it was something about money. He slammed doors, yelled at Mom. I'd seen it all before, but that night, something in me snapped. "Stop," I said. "Just stop yelling at her." He turned toward me, eyes burning. There was a split second where everything went silent. Then he struck me. Not hard, not for long, but it was enough to change everything. Mom rushed in, crying, holding me. She whispered again, the same phrase I'd heard my whole life. "Don't tell anyone, please. People won't understand." But I understood. For the first time, I realized that staying quiet hadn't protected me. It had protected him. At 18, I packed a duffel bag and left. I told them I needed space for college, but really I just needed air that didn't taste like fear. I thought leaving would fix it. That distance would mean freedom. But silence. Silence follows you. I smiled when people asked about my childhood. It was fine, I'd say. Normal. But every time I said it, my chest tightened, and because I was still obeying the rule. Then I met Mia. She was bright, loud, honest, everything I wasn't. One night after a rough phone call with Mom, she asked, "You okay?" I gave my usual smile that, yeah, just tired. But she saw through it. "You always say that," she said quietly. "But you don't look tired. You look scared." And that was it. The wall cracked. I told her everything. The shouting, the fear, the broken glass, the silence. When I finished, I braced myself for pity or judgment. Instead, she just said, "That must have been so heavy to carry alone." That was the first time I realized talking didn't make me weak. It made me lighter. Years later, after Dad passed, I went back home to help Mom pack up. The house felt smaller than I remembered. The walls didn't seem to echo anymore. They just stood quiet, as if they too were tired. One night, we sat at the same kitchen table where all those arguments used to happen. The air was heavy but still. Mom stared at her hands and said, "I thought I was protecting you. I thought if we just stayed quiet, things would get better." Her voice cracked. I took her hand. "You were surviving too," I said. "You did what you could." She started crying. I did too. And in that silence, something healed not completely, but enough for both of us to breathe again. Now, whenever I hear someone say, "Don't tell anyone what happens at home," I feel that old fear creep back. But this time I fight it, because I know what silence really does. It doesn't protect you. It traps you. It makes you carry pain that was never yours to hold. So I tell my story, not for sympathy, but for anyone out there still keeping the family secret. You are not weak for speaking up. You're not ungrateful for wanting peace. And you don't owe your silence to anyone. Because sometimes breaking the family rule isn't rebellion. It's survival. It's freedom. It's the first real breath you'll ever take.